everybody, and it's great to be back. I hope you're all well, and welcome to Wild Earth. We've got a few warthog behind me here, and the sun is shining, and hopefully we'll be able to show you some of the damage that we experienced after that huge storm, which was one of the reasons why any signs of the storm. Most of it's actually been cleared up now. There may still be one or two branches that have been blown away from those trees. It was quite incredible. Huge branches that were about 3 or 4 meters away from the actual tree. So it was quite a big storm, and believe me, it was a little bit scary. We actually thought it might have been a little mini hurricane. My name's Tara, and joining me on the camera this afternoon is Daniel, and back in front of control is Craig. So what I would love to do is try to catch up with Karula and the cubs. One of the trackers from Voyatala just informed me that he saw her just around Gary, Main and Philemon's Cutline, that area. So we're going to have a look around there and see if we can catch up with the lady. And I must admit I was a little bit scared because I thought there was a problem with one of the cubs. I thought the male may have gone missing or something even worse may have happened to him. Because we hadn't seen him for about a day or so after the storm, but luckily he is alive and well, and they are apparently full of life still and raring to go. So let's see if we can jump aboard, and some of you may recognise this is not Gunda. Jigga has been brought back into service and we are aboard her today, so hopefully you'll enjoy the sound of the petrol engine and see what else we can go and find this afternoon. So I hope you're all ready. Grab your duct tape and cable ties and let's jump aboard. So we're just starting off here on quarantine area. A few of the warthogs at their backs are towards us now, so unfortunately we're not going to get a nice view of them. Let's see what we can go and find. There's a couple of the terminalias just on the left that got pushed over completely by the storm. Myself and Mark drove by the other day, straight after the storm. There's some there that the elephants have knocked over, but there's some that the storm actually pushed over. It was really quite intense. And we were speaking to some of the guides who have been here for quite a number of years, and they said they haven't seen anything like it before. Some of the ones that have been here a little bit longer, like Efron said, he has seen a storm like that once before, but you can see all the branches all around here. It really is quite incredible. And I must admit, I was very relieved to be up at the house with everybody at the time. So it started off as a normal thunderstorm, with lightning and just the rolls of thunder clapped right overhead. And we were busy watching a film, and the lights went out. And I thought, oh, here comes another storm. And then the heavens opened, and there was a huge river that just started cascading down between the cars and between the rooms. And the wind, as I say, I've never experienced anything like it. Now, my village over in England is extremely windy, and we do have quite large glass windows in our house. And sometimes those windows bend a little bit and you think they're actually going to fall in. They haven't yet, but it can get pretty windy there, but these winds, wow. I would not want to live through a hurricane, that's for sure. But actually since then we haven't really seen any sign of another storm. I'm just seeing some rhino tracks here. It's like a rhino walked all the way down quarantine. Where did the rhino go. He was actually lying down here. He went off here. He's down towards Chelapan. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that, but there's some nice imprint of the skin. Maybe we need to let's angle ourselves a little bit better here. See that just there. Comes out a bit awkward. Oh, there you go. You can actually see where the rhino's been lying down. Now, if you were with me for the python track the other day, you can see what I was saying about the skin and the indentation from the skin wasn't quite ringing true of a rhino lying down. It was more like the scales of a snake, which helped us to get to the fact that it was a snake track and a snake had actually been basking in the road. If I can actually jump out and maybe just point out the rhino tracks to you.
Just catching the edge of the car.
This one here? Or this one?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit too close.
Sure, that's nice. Nice and fresh as well. But the cars have driven over the tracks, but they do head in that direction. So we might actually be better off taking Twin Dams Road through to Chelapan and then down towards Gary. It did say it looked like she was crossing over towards that area. And hi Peggy, good afternoon to you. And I haven't heard anything about Dixie actually. I know Alcibiwe has been coming in, so she hasn't said if there's been any damage. At Utah, she lives in the next village on. But we haven't really had much contact with Dixie, especially with Patrick leaving, as he was quite a close link to us. But I'm hoping to go through sometime, I'm hoping this week, because the rest of the netball equipment came through. So some of you may have read the blog about the equipment going out. Well, at least on the Facebook, I think we've still got to release the blog actually. I think that happened. I wrote it just as the storm hit. Oh, there goes our rhino tracks. Came down the road. He may even have made his way towards Gary Dam, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to go there just yet. Maybe lucky, he may have just kept to the road here. Expecting to find the rhino around the corner, they're that fresh. Cross over there. Mr. Rhino. So we managed to get most of the equipment through to Dixie, to the primary school, and I received the netball kit, which was the item high up on the list of what they were asking us for. so I'll try and get that through next week. And hopefully I'll be able to ask actually how everyone fared through that huge storm. It was amazing, it didn't last that long, it was only about, what, 15 or 20 minutes maximum. I don't even think it was that long. It might just be hidden, just in the back here. I'm not seeing any more tracks from crossing over. Just have guests this afternoon, so we won't be able to go much further. If I can see the lodge, then they can see us. Maybe our rider might pop out a bit later. Spotted owlets calling in the distance. Let's try and find one a little bit closer to the road. I don't think we're going to be able to pick it up with sound. Straight over there. We saw one track. After all that, we may be crossing right over. Or we may be going into the drainage line and walking through the drainage line to come out the other side. And just to fill you in on a few other bits and pieces as well, I was saying about Karuna, and once the guests started moving in, if you remember, the last time we saw Karuna in the cubs, she was using room 3 and 4 as her own private getaway. She decided to take a holiday break. I was visiting camp for a few days. But certainly after the storm hit, there was a lot of movement. There was some guests coming in the next day. The lodge was clear of all the nests. There was huge fever trees that had been knocked over. All them dragged damage. driven past Leopard and there's no coming back onto Weaver's Nest Road. 5 minutes. He did cross over onto, which is just opposite that. So let's see if it does sound like he did take. We actually met the sheep hand him partly kill up in a tree. One of his remains. Quite happy with the traffic that was rolling by. Hello, Franklin. She found another impala. Road.
One, two.
Hi everyone, this is Craig in Final Control, and as you can see we're just getting some signal breakup from Tara, and I'm just trying to get her back into an area where we get a good signal from the vehicle.
Actually, this is their territory. We're just loaning it. And animals like Karula, who've grown up with this area, in this area, and she's grown up with lodges as part of her life, and the same as vehicles. This is all part of their life. This is normal for them. And when a lodge goes quiet, you do find those animals that are used to the human habitation may use it, sometimes for safety, and it could be that she was actually using it as a safe haven for her cubs at that stage. Maybe some of the lions won't go there, maybe some of the hyenas might not go there. So there's also quite a large amount of antelope species that may utilize that area, and it could be decided, well, that's fairly good pickings, and I think she was right. Hi Dolly, good to hear from you. And I think you guys are not hearing me completely, so I can repeat myself a little bit for you. A bit about the animal movement. Shrike, there he is, just sitting behind. He'll be sitting behind the bush now. I did see one or two of its family members flying off as well. Just squeeze over just a little bit. Come this way. Leopard is here. Come on. There we go. Just a little bit more. The southern white-crowned shrike. Ah, there we go. Thank you so much. Quite a number of shrikes here will form a family. This is one of them, the southern white-crowned shrike, long-tailed shrike as well, now known as a magpie shrike. But not all shrikes will hide or will put bits of animal or insect on thorns. Now, some species, the great grey shrike in Britain and the fiscal shrike that we don't really see here, but the fiscal shrike is black and white, and they will often impale animals like mice or rodents or maybe insects, and they'll actually put them on thorns of trees. I know in the UK there's barbed wire, there's a lot of it, and you'll often find little moles and other small animals like that just impaled on these spikes. And no one's really too sure exactly why shrikes do this. And it could be that the shrikes are using it for territorial, so actually showing off, hey, this is my territory here, there's someone utilizing it, stay away. Some people think that it's to make a larder, maybe for a rainy day. And I've even heard some people think that it's to attract maggots and flies so that they can eat the maggots. I'm not sure if I really believe that, because they are a hunter after all, so it could be any number of reasons. And I think for me, there's also quite an interesting one where it helps them to eat what they've caught a little bit easier. Could well be. But I think for me the territorial one may ring true, because especially out here in Africa, if it was to build up a larder, then they'll be eating biltong, the dried out meat, and I think that'll be quite difficult to eat. So I'm just seeing the white-crowned shrike. Maybe we can get it again before we move on. Species that do impale animals, the great grey shrike in Britain. I think the redback shrike may do it a little bit, not too much though, but certainly the fiscal shrike over here. He's sitting on the very large branch. You are going to see it from there actually. See if we can move forward just a little bit then. While we're here, I'll finish off telling you about Karula and the movements of the animals, because Dolly was asking just to repeat that again. And it was quite interesting when the people moved out of the lodge, or there wasn't any guests in the lodge, with this being their home, many animals have grown up with humans and the human habitation that is actually in the reserve. So for her and for other animals, this is their life, this is part of their life. And as long as there's no need to fear the humans that are around there, and there's that mutual respect that she doesn't actually go and attack people, there's enough food out there for her. So she's never eaten human before, she's never been introduced to it before, so there's no reason for her to hunt humans. And she's a fit cat, and she has a good opportunity to hunt, as she actually showed during the storm. She took out 5 impala. So once there's not too much movement around, it could be that she actually moved the cubs there for safety, because maybe other animals who don't frequent the lodges, they might not come into the lodge. So she may see it as a place of safety. And also some of the other antelope may have used it for safety as well. And she decided actually it was good pickings for food. But as soon as the guests start coming in, she actually moved, I think she moved to room 8. So she was utilising 3 and 4, and then she moved down to room 8. There was guests up until I think room 5 or 6. So she moved further down, so she wasn't being disturbed. And eventually when there was a few more guests, that's when she moved away. So there's still that respect there. She doesn't want to be around humans too much, but at the same time she's utilising the lodge when people aren't there. I can tell you now, she's still a very wild leopard. There's no way you could try and pet her, and it's not what we'd want to do anyway. And that's actually where that respect for each other. We respect the fact that they're still wild animals, but they're not pets, and they respect the fact that, you know, they've got enough food out there and they don't need to eat humans. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to see from here. You may be able to see that little hooked part of the bill, which is very characteristic of the shrikes. He turns his head again. Finished preening now. It's just a little bit too much in shadow, unfortunately. Oh, another one's coming in to join it. Just land on the branch just opposite, and there's another one on the road, so there's the rest of the family. You can see it just in the bottom left of the screen. And this marula tree has still got its leaves, but give it another month or so and it's going to be bare. I would like to go and check out the hyena den as well, see how the cubs are doing. Apparently there are 6 cubs there. We only saw 4 last time. Apparently there are 6, and there are a couple of very, very tiny ones, under a month old, I think. try and go there in a little bit. It's going to be still a little bit too warm, I think. The temperature is starting to drop quite quickly. And believe me, you can certainly feel it is winter time. So there's nothing much happening at the moment.
Hi everyone, this is Craig in Final Control. And as you can see, we're just losing signal again from Tara. Just rest assured we are just trying to get the signal back, and as soon as I've got a decent picture from her, I'll turn the sound up again.
almost on death's door. So it just goes to show animals can be extremely resilient. As I say, given the right circumstances, they may be able to pull through even some of the harshest times. So we're now back at quarantine. We're going to have a look around here. I did see the baboons around camp earlier on, and I would love to try and catch up with squirrels. Gone. I did see someone dart across the road. Where'd he go? Gone. Not the mongoose. I just saw a dark flash. And there is a mongoose family that do live around here. So I would like to try and catch up with those baboons as well and see how the newest member of the troop is doing. Little Genesis. I think he's going to be about 2.5, 3 weeks old now. Mr. Impala, you're on your own soon. A little bit more wary, he is on his own. Doesn't have the safety of the herd anymore to keep a lookout for things. And they do tend to be a little bit more skittish. Male Impala. Hi Peter, good afternoon to you, and I hope you're a little bit warmer over there in Canada. I feel the wind is starting to pick up a little bit. Let's go down towards the dam. Wanting to know, is there a big possibility of seeing the Big Five on drive? We do have the Big Five in the area, so there's always a possibility. Some days we don't even move from quarantine, the open area that we've just been driving around a little bit of. We've had lions there on the kill that side, and we had Karula, our resident female leopard, who I've been talking about, down on the southern side of the open area. Elephants cross over this area. Rhino has been around here very recently. And the buffalo also comes through here. So there is always a possibility of seeing the Big Five. It just depends on how the day goes. I can see an elephant. There's one of the Big Five. Can you see him? Spot the elephant. Where is the elephant? Close. I think we do need to go over there though. Let's see if we can see him just in case we lose him. There we go. There's the elephant, just as we're talking about Elephant Peter. There you go. So you can tick that off your list. But I would like to get a little bit closer to him if we can.
Texan.
Here at Gowrie Dam. This very termite mound to our left, Karula was sitting on the morning before the storm. We're going just to our left there. And we found her because some geese were calling, and then guinea fowl. We follow the calls of the animals. Okay, so we need to mark where that elephant is. It's over kind of in line with that dead tree. Okay. The reason why I'm trying to take a marker is because we're going down to a dip, and where you think they are actually looks different once you get onto the other side. So he may or may not be close to the road. Quite often there's some buffalo chilling out here in the water, Florida, where it's quite a pleasant afternoon here. Hello boys. There's some male Nyala. Just here on the right, look at them. Beautiful boys. We're about 3, maybe 4 years old. Still fairly young. Haven't got that beautiful silver mane down the back. It's starting to grow. But when they become completely black on their bodies, and that silver mane and that huge hairy neck is used for display, and it is quite stunning watching these bulls displaying. They're very careful at how they strut around each other. Let's see if we can pull alongside them, be able to see them a little bit better. They may be just a little bit shy. Beautiful animals. And we have some hippo there on the left. Actually, we've got quite a few hippo on the left. There's 3 there, and there's a couple more further to the back in the sunlight. Four hippo. I wonder if one of those is Bob. Apparently there was a baby born here as well last week. So we have a new baby hippo. I've yet to see actually. But they do seem to like using Gary Dam. I think maybe there's some good shallow areas for the baby hippos. We have seen another female giving birth here last year, March last year. She gave birth to Bob. Oh, we've got the sun shining on the face of the Nyala, who's put his head down now. He'll come back. I feel like a kid in the candy shop. Yeah, you can see him through there. So much to show you. I feel like I haven't been out for a year. I know some of you have been getting withdrawal symptoms, but believe me, we have as well. There we go. Okay, well, let's see if we can catch up with our bull elephant. Disappearing into a very thick bush there. I'm sure Jigger's enjoying her day out as well. further on. The way the land lies. Come play tricks with you. Somewhere maybe around here. And good afternoon to you, Ellen. Welcome on board this afternoon. Wanting to know if hippos give birth on land or in water. And they can give birth in either, but apparently this one happened just in the very shallow water. And that's where females would tend to go to the shallows. Maybe well, even though his tusks look quite long, he doesn't look that old. See the deep grooves on the top of his trunk there. He wasn't sure about. Stations, I've got one on Blov on the eastern side of Gary Dam. So, we've said many times if an elephant stands, and I just said it then, he stood with his ears out. And when they flap their ears and they're facing towards you, that can be a sign that they're trying to intimidate you and basically telling you to go away. They don't want you there. But now he's flapping his ears, but he's not even looking at us. He's looking away from us. The tail isn't raised, the head isn't raised, he's eating, so all these things are saying to me he's relaxed. And the fact that he's flapping his ears is more like it's still quite warm here, where it's sheltered from the wind's carrying quite a bit of a bite to it now. But in the sheltered areas, which is where we are now, he's going to be producing a lot of heat in that body, so he's going to be overheating. And that is his way of cooling off. That's his radiator to give off a lot of that heat. And he can pump all the blood that's in his body in those ears. Roughly around 20 minutes it takes to have all that blood taken into the ears and pass through the veins in his ears. And by flapping those ears, it can circulate air over those ears, which will also help to get rid of a lot of that heat. But certainly if an elephant is standing looking at you, and the fact that his tail was raised showed that he was very alert and he wasn't sure about something, and I'd love to know what it was. He certainly was looking behind us, or towards us at least. but his whole body just changed with his head up as well. It is quite interesting. We are seeing a lot more of these huge bulls at the moment. And there can be quite an increase in matings that occur over the summer. And that possibly has something to do with it. Maybe more cows are coming into estrus this time of year. Although we are slowly making our way towards the winter time now. We are now in our autumn. And you can start to see there's a lot of the vegetation losing that bright green colour. Starting to become very dry and very yellow. And you're going to be seeing a change in the diet of the elephants too. At the moment, there may still be a bit of green grass around. You'll often find the elephants eating the grass around the termite mounds and leaves from the trees. Hi Ellie, welcome on board this afternoon. And you say you watched a TV show where they shot a bull elephant trying to protect the herd. And would that be true? Would it have been a male? Would it have been a matriarch? That's quite interesting, Ellie, and it does depend on the circumstances, because it may well have been a bull if he was in must. They seek out female herds, and when they're in must, they have this heightened level of aggression because the testosterone levels increase, and that gears them to wanting to mate, and they actually go and look for the female herds. Now, if he's in that state, it could be if there was people around, and unfortunately not knowing the circumstances of why they had to shoot him. It could have been a male in that state. But you can see here, this bull elephant, he's on his own. I can see from here he's not in must. His temporal lobes next to his eye aren't weeping. You look for that wet patch that would run next to his ear. And you could usually smell him from here as well, especially if the wind's blowing in the right direction. They smell extremely strong. It's almost like a sweet, musty smell. And you would be able to see they dribble urine constantly, and the inside of the legs would be green. So if you see all those things on the elephant, that tells you that they're in must, and that tells you to rather give them quite a wide berth. Now, a lot of the bulls that we see here, a lot of the old bulls, seem to be quite used to obviously going through the must, and they seem to be a lot more relaxed and placid than younger bulls that go through must, and it's almost as if the younger bulls have a lot more to prove. But it also depends on what's happened in their life. So if you've had an elephant that's had a bad run-in with humans, it may make them a lot more aggressive towards humans when they're in that state. So there's a lot of factors to take into account whether an elephant's going to be extremely aggressive towards humans or not. So it may well have been a male if he was in must. It may have been the matriarch as well. Matriarchs will protect their family. So without seeing that footage, it would be quite difficult to really make that call, because it could have been either scenario. It could have even been a scenario that I'm not even thinking of. I'm hearing the geese calling, and it could be there is something there. Let's just see if we can just move around a little bit more. I was hoping we might be able to pull round in front, but there are a few logs there that I'm not going to be able to get past. If I can just pull forward, I might be able to. No. And that's what he thinks of us. Hmm? Now, if you see the tail, there are some people who will be able to recognise each elephant by the tail. Every tail is different on an elephant. Just like stripes are unique to each zebra and spots are to a leopard, the tail of an elephant is unique to that elephant. And just the tail itself. Those wrinkles on the skin and folds on the skin do seem to get a lot deeper as they get older. That's one thing you can look for on the skin. You see how he's carefully putting that piece of branch into his mouth, and just using the tip of his trunk he can manipulate it. And even the veins that I was talking about earlier on his ear, you can see them now quite nicely as he's flapping his ears again. Just imagine all the blood pumping through there and cooling the blood off as he's flapping his ears with the air flowing over it. His teeth there are probably about the same thickness as my arm. And one thing I did hear is that their pack of 21 wild dogs are denning just over in Buffalo's Hook, so it could be we may have a chance to see them a little more often. If they are denning, then they may come through here and hunt. Now, if there's anybody who's new and has never been on board a drive with us here on Wild Earth, we traverse probably about 800 hectares here in Juma Game Reserve, and we are surrounded by other properties that animals are able to cross over the boundaries, but we as humans aren't. We have our particular areas that we stick to, and the whole area is open to them here in the Sabi Sands, and that's probably about 65,000 hectares in total. But it goes a little bit beyond that, because we border on the world famous Kruger National Park, and the Kruger, together with the Sabi Sands, is somewhere in the region of about 2.7 million hectares, and the animals are able to move between here, the rest of Sabi Sands, and Kruger if they want to. So you do get resident animals like Karula, our female leopard, and she may hold maybe about 1,000 to 2,000 hectare territory. But then you get animals like the elephants who can roam over a great distance. And this bull here may be seen in Kruger, it may be seen further south from where we are, it could be seen anywhere. And the wild dogs also have quite a large home range, and they are seen, that pack of 21 are seen here. They go a bit further south from here, they go to Orpen Gate, which is in Kruger. They're seen that side too. It sounds like one of the other male leopards who sometimes we see here on our eastern boundary is close to, sounds like Cheetah Plains, which is to our southeast. No, unfortunately he's not going to turn around and have a look at us. So I think maybe let's have another drive around the dam and maybe head down towards the hyena den. It is starting to cool off a little bit. I'd love to see if those baby hyenas are becoming active again. Head down to the hyena den. I want to just drive a little bit further along towards the lodge. Now we're able to do that. Some people might be wondering why we're not able to go down towards the lodge when the guests are there. But it's an agreement that is there with every lodge. It's when the guests are in camp, no game drive vehicles will go around there, because at the end of the day people have come to the bush and off-road vehicles and things like that. So while they're in camp, the vehicles don't drive around the camp. Once the guests have left camp, then we go and have a drive around close to the camp. Sometimes even in the camp, if the animals have decided that they're going to walk through there. Like Rula did. So we'll have a good look down there if you can, Daniel. I did hear the goose calling. I do wonder if the goose saw something. That's one of the leopard's favourite hiding spots. Two young males have come out again now. See the tan on their legs as well, very characteristic of the Nyalas. And I think that does have a lot to do with the fact that they're very precise at where they place their feet when they are standing off and displaying to each other. As I say, they strut very, very slowly. And it actually looks like someone has taken a video and then just slowed it down. And you would actually expect that's what happened until you see maybe impala or zebra in the background that are just moving normally. And that is why animals go through these processes, is to try and decide who is the strongest without actually having to fight. As soon as animals fight, there is a danger that they can become injured, and that can mean the difference between life and death. So you have all these elaborate displays or pools or birds with plumage or long tails, all these sorts of things as try and decide who is the strongest. And if that's not possible, if they're fairly evenly matched, that's when you may get the fighting. Okay, I wanted to come down somewhere here. I want to see if we can see the baby hippo. Okay, we just park down here. I'm not seeing where the goose is either. You see a baby. Ah, that could be the baby. That looks small enough to be the baby. I think that is baby. So we also have a new baby up at Buffalo's Hook Dam too. We've got 2 this year. Yep, that does look like it is the baby. Now there was a crocodile in here, I don't know if he's still here. And if it is, that female is going to be very protective and that baby will stick very close to her. The crocodile won't really go for an adult hippo, But a baby that's unprotected might just try something. You should just be able to see the baby behind the mother hippo there. I think that's probably about a two weeks old now, a week and a half, 2 weeks old. Something like that. I've lost all track of time. No, maybe not even that. Maybe about a week and a half. Hi Caroline, welcome on board to you this afternoon. Wanting to know about the Gary gang and have we seen them since the storm, and we have. They raided our next door neighbour's house this afternoon. And I got raided by the monkeys. It wasn't a good day in terms of monkey raiding. The monkeys broke into my room and stole a packet of chips that I had hidden away for a rainy day. But I didn't see how much damage they'd done to our neighbour. But they do seem to be fine, and actually, we can probably go and have a look around quarantine now, because they may be heading back towards their normal sleeping spot. We may be able to catch them and maybe have a look for Genesis before we head down towards the hyena den. Just want to quickly show you the baby hippo. I haven't seen it myself either. Also, the 3 trees that are usually quite iconic. See, that one's lost quite a large proportion of its crown there. Very, very sad. I'm glad that the 3 are still remaining though. I actually thought one of the trees had fallen over completely. Not looking as full as what they usually do. Good afternoon, Karen. Hope you're well. And good afternoon to Naihe. I'm hoping I'm saying your name right. And I'm glad to hear you enjoyed the elephant. Wanting to know what the tusks are used for. Well, elephants can use their tusks for a whole range of things. They can't use the hands, fingers like we can, so they use their trunk and their tusks to help them gather food. So they'll use their tusks to break a branch over. They'll grab the branch in their trunk and then break it over their tusk. If you write with your right hand or left hand, the tusk of the elephant, one side will be used more than the other. It might be right or left tusked. Oh, that sun is setting and I'm starting to feel a bit chilly. Africa is not always hot. And hi Jojo. Good afternoon to you too. Baboon shrunk. You're not a baboon. What are you doing up there? They shrunk in the wash after the storm. Now the reason why I say that is because this is one of the favourite sleeping spots of our local troop, the Gary Gang. Yeah, you're looking at me now, hey. You were the ones that broke into my room. I'm not happy with you. They left me a couple of nice presents as well. Really not happy.
Brown chocolate present.
Very much a brown chocolate present. It doesn't look like the baboons might be coming back. The sun is setting, so they usually are around here at this time of day if they are coming back here to sleep. Beautiful green bark of the fever tree there. This is one of the trees that also blew down in the wind. And I think these monkeys were actually giving the baboons a hard time. Apparently the two of them were fighting on our neighbour's roof. They definitely have a little bit of attitude. Gang must have headed off somewhere else unless they're on the way down. Have a quick look here. So Shirley's going to show her baby to us. Unless they're just in these trees here. Looks like they crossed over. I didn't notice them. Hi Miss Chris. Good afternoon to you. Wanting to know about the damage to other lodges. Thankfully, word teller actually didn't get too much damage. There was just a lot of trees blown over. And our mast, part of it just did 180 degrees right round. That was one of the reasons why we had a problem with our internet. I think one of the lodges, one of the windows got blown in. They had a huge window, and that window got blown in. I think another lodge also had a little bit of structural damage. So we were actually quite lucky, and there was a big Maruda tree that's standing right outside our lounge area up at the house, and I actually thought that some of the branches were going to break and flying onto the top of the roof. I'm a little bit worried. Looks like some of their tracks also came over here. Where are our baboons? Hi Luann! I think you must have just missed seeing the vervet monkeys. Actually, that's what they were. I was calling them baboons. The baboons that had shrunk in the storm. But they were actually vervet monkeys with the black face. You can see them too well in the fever tree there. And raiding my room. I wouldn't mind, but my room was closed. I think they actually found a weakness in the mosquito panel on the window, and one of them managed to sneak in. And I wouldn't mind, but I think it must have actually walked past my room. And I did hear something, and I looked at the door and thought, no, that's shut. And I knew the monkeys were around. I thought, no, well, they can't get in. Aha, what did I know? There's one inside, enjoying the snacks that I put aside for a rainy day. Really not impressed. So now the window is barred up. And what's left of the snacks, what it didn't want to eat, is hidden deeper away. Okay, well, these baboons don't look like they've come home. Where they've gone. Let's go and see what's going down at the hyena den. Go and see those baby hyenas. See if they're out and about. Been walking here. Guinea fowl's been walking here. On our tracks from this afternoon. So this is the open area that I was talking about a little bit earlier, otherwise known as the quarantine area. A lot of people ask why is it called a quarantine area. And when the Sabi Sands first started out, they were all little farms, or little holdings. And some of the animals would have been brought in. So this would have been fenced off. And when the animals got brought in, they would have been tranquilized so that they don't do themselves too much damage in the move. And then they would have been put in this area. And the reversal drug would have been given to them. And they can then get over the shock of being moved and the shock of having drugs put into the body, and they'll be very drowsy once they come around, and they could be vulnerable to other animals attacking them. So they put them in these holding areas to allow them to get used to another area, the sights, the smells, let them get over that grogginess before they are let out. Oh, hyena's been on the move already. Fresh hyena tracks. Now, even though hyenas is getting cooler in the evenings and at night, animals Hi Vivian, good to hear from you. Wanting to know, are the raiders, the monkeys and baboons, bold enough to break in while we're there? They're actually not. Now look, there's been a number of times, sometimes I'll sit on my bed with the door open just reading or something, and you'll often see the monkeys walking past, and I'll see them looking in, and then they check me looking at them, and then they decide against it. The baboons also, they came through camp the other day. Kind of look at you and then look away as if they're not actually watching your every move, but they actually are, and they're waiting to see a chink in the armour kind of thing, see if there's a weakness, working things out. Actually very clever. You've got to give them credit. Although today I don't. Still want to know how they worked out how to get into my room. Oh, hello floppy ear. Might just need to drop the aerial a little bit. Hello lady. Looks like elephant came right through here. I'd love to have seen that. Some elephant dung just to our right here. Hello lady. So if you've been with us from the start of Drive, and I was talking about floppy ear and the fact that she was on death's door and then she managed to pull through and is now the matriarch of our local clan. This is the lady I was talking about. You can see she is a full grown hyena. She is a full bill of health. She even has 2 cubs at the moment. And you can see where she gets her name from, her floppy ear on the right. Now that could have been some damage that she got from the fight. As I say, I'm not too sure what it was that gave her quite a nasty beating. It could have been the lions, it could have been another hyena. I think damage to her ear is probably due to that. But it's helping us out because she's very distinctive. You can see that little white pink patch on her nose. There's one of the cubs. Come on, little one. Good to see you. Hello. So curious. Okay, just to the left of the screen. It's going to come out of the hole now.
Oh, very pretty.
Still quite dark in colour, but you can see there's some spots on the chest and on the neck. It's probably about 4 months old now, that little one. I'm going to go to your mum. Maybe about 3.5, 4 months. Oh, and here comes the other one. They're so cheeky. stations and BC Coyote active. This dung looks pretty fresh from the elephants, so I think the elephants must have literally just come through a couple of hours ago. And I wonder if that's what the hyenas are smelling now. You can see there's actually a bit of a size difference between the two. One on the right, the boldest one that came out first, slightly larger than its sibling. There you go, they're going to stand next to each other. You can see that size difference there quite nicely now. And it's very normal for one sibling to overshadow the other. And you'll quite often find from birth, you'll get one dominating the other, whether it's biting and basically giving quite a lot of hassle to it. Especially when it's two females. And females are the dominant sex. And they will dominate males, so if you've got a female and male cub, the female will dominate the male every time. But if it's two females, there may even be so much competition between them that the younger one dies, or the weaker one dies. Sure, that is quite a big size difference there between them. I'm pretty sure that's the two siblings. There are 6 cubs here apparently. But I think these two are probably floppy ears, and that's why they're out at the moment. You see there's many holes in this termite mound, and some will actually be small enough that only the cubs can get in and not the adults. So when the adults go away and forage, you may find the cubs utilising those holes for safety. Keep looking over. I think let's just pull forward a little bit because those two cubs keep looking over that side. I wonder if there's another hyena there. It's odd if there is, they're not going over to it. That's why the cubs are in the hole there. Let's see if we can turn around anyway. You might be able to see them still sitting in the hole that side. You can see the cub there anyway. There's just a lot of elephant dung this side. I think maybe that's what it is. It's catching their interest. Texan, come in. Texan, come in. Texan, the BC car is active. I'm not sure if you heard me earlier.
Yes, I called earlier on that tank tower.
Copy that. And good afternoon to you, Roy. Welcome on board this afternoon. Wanting to know how often can floppy ear have cubs? Oh, look at that. No, you can't eat leaves. That's not your diet, little one. So yes, but it's going to be today. Now the birthing interval for hyenas may be around 1.5 to 2 years, maybe even 2.5 years. Again, depends on how successful they are and depends on how long it takes them to wean the cubs. But floppy ear being a matriarch, she may be quite successful with her cubs. And she may have a birthing interval about 1.5 years. Okay, our baby's going back over to her now. I think we need to go back around that side. Baby's getting quite interested in something. And again, it's the larger one of the two. Quite amazing to see such a distinct difference between the two cubs. Now, if this little one is a female, which I think she is, she's going to be very high ranking. She's going to take Just give birth to male cubs. They may stay longer than male cubs of lower ranking females. And it's thought that because of that these males are able to grow. They may stay 3 or 4 years, and they're able to grow in size, and they have a little bit more of an attitude about them than lower ranking females cubs, because obviously they've had the matriarch of the clan actually there to fight their corner, and it seems to be that they do get a lot more matings because of it, because they are a lot bolder and do have this arrogance about them almost. Because, as I say, females are very aggressive, and even when it comes to mating, males will be very careful when approaching a female. And they'll almost bow down to her and await for when she says, okay, you can approach now. It can be quite intimidating for them. So those males that have been born to matriarchs and they've stayed longer with the clan and they've built up that bold character, you can see why it would come in very handy. The weaning process is very long. It can take a year, sometimes a year and a half to be weaned completely. And even when she was pregnant with these two, we saw possibly her cub from the previous litter, which was probably have been about a year, just over a year old, still drinking from her. Maybe about a year and a half old. And she still allowed it to drink at that stage, which is quite incredible. And just like many animals, their behaviour is actually quite intricate, and you can't say that something is true for all hyenas. Certainly when I'm finding the more I find out more about the hyenas, the more it gets so much more complicated. But the reason, or one of the reasons why it takes so long for the weaning process is look at this. Mom, I want some attention. Give me some. This little one. I can hear a hyena calling in the distance, so we might be lucky with floppy ear answering. That could be why she's sat upright. Hi Vivian. Welcome on board this afternoon. Unfortunately, I'm not too sure how old Floppy Ear is. Maybe one of the viewers who's been with Wild Earth for a long time might know. I'd guesstimate her age probably around 7 or 8, something like that. Mum just wants to have a bit of peace and quiet. But I wonder how familiar this is to so many mums across the world at this point in time. I just remember that hyenas have quite a powerful bite. Actually, one of the most powerful of all the mammals. And even at that age, I think that bite's gonna hurt. That lifespan, Vivian, if I can remember rightly, is probably around late teens, early 20s for a hyena. I would say Floppy is in the prime of her life at the moment. I'm just going to pull forward just a little bit more. Both mum and daughter are standing in the entrance. Back now. But Miss Two is asking about animals moving around in the storm. Was that Dolly? I think it may have been Dolly. I didn't quite catch the name the second time, but whoever was asking may have missed me saying animals do tend to take cover during the storm, and it was quite interesting the fact that we didn't see too much animal movement with this storm hitting. Because usually you do see quite a marked decrease in the amount of game that is seen out in the open plains when the storm is going to hit. I just couldn't get over the fact that there wasn't that much of a decrease. And obviously for predators, they can utilise the fact that animals become quite disorientated during huge storms like that. The rain might mask their movement as well as the wind and their smell. What are you doing, Floppy Ear? She's standing just at the back again. She's quite intrigued to see what she's doing. Let's just roll back again. Let's say roll back. I'll have to drive back. I'm hoping that we might hear her. Even though this is one of those animals who you don't often see adults grooming each other, it generally strengthens the bonds between a group, but even though hyenas, especially spotted hyena, will live as a family, you don't really see much of that happening. And obviously very important when it comes to the offspring, keeping them nice and clean. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to pull too much further forward because we might just disturb them. And one of the reasons why they have such a powerful bite is because they eat bone. And they eat large chunks of bone as well, and their digestive system is extremely acidic to help break down those large pieces of bone. And it allows them to, again, utilize food that other animals can't. They have their niche, their role in life. Now, if she goes out foraging, these cubs won't follow. And as I was saying earlier, the weaning process is very long. Because generally, food won't be brought back to the den. Although here in the Savi Sands, Mark and Patrick have said they've seen it fairly often. And maybe with Floppy Ear and maybe one or two other of the females being high ranking, you may find them bringing food back. And again, there's not too much in the way of bones around here or anything like that. They've all been eaten if it has been brought back. But generally cubs, if they're lucky to get a bit of meat when they're around this age, then they are very lucky. Otherwise, they may only accompany adults when they're about 7 or 8 going out to forage for food. And that's when they may actually get the first taste of meat. This is what I was saying earlier. It's so different for hyenas across Africa. What's true for one family may be completely different for another family. And it all depends on what the situation is and maybe how many predators are there, how many other hyenas are around, how much prey species are around, how much opportunity to scavenge is there. All these factors will be built in and into that particular family group. And maybe one of the reasons why food may not be brought back that much is because it may be stolen by higher ranking individuals. So if Floppy Ear brought some food back, I doubt that's going to be stolen. She is the matriarch. It looks like she has gone off to forage. I don't know if the cubs have returned back to the den. make our way back to the quarantine area. Any movement. Actually, sitting just at the entrance of the dam. I don't think we'll be able to see it now. Just a little bit too dark. Let's leave them to it. If the adult's gone. If anybody's interested in seeing Saturn, she's looking beautiful at the moment. Quite high in the sky. And the constellation Virgo. I think it's going to be a little bit too bright to see her. About Shirley and Genesis, our newest member of the Gary gang. Has anyone seen both of them? I haven't actually seen her to see her, if you know what I mean. I keep meaning to try and get a picture. But I have seen the gang. I was hoping to try and see her, but unfortunately when they ran off after raiding our neighbour's house. And I just saw the two boys, and I saw Evelyn on the back of the cycle as they ran out of the house. So I'm not too sure if Shirley was already out of the house and already hightailed it over the fence. I did see a couple of them at the head. Ooh, there's a nice little patch there. Stage, we'll be able to just catch the glimpse of the yellow in the sky. We'll be able to get it there. Over there, while I wire up the spotlight. Yeah, we can drop the shutter speed a little bit and see if we can get the colour. Huh? The sky. If we're able to. Okay. Finally getting there. And some other interesting movements around camp. We had the civets walking through camp sometime early this morning. Found his tracks out on the driveway and just out in the car park. So, I think I'll just have a little look around this area in case we get it right and see the civet. Now, the civet looks a little bit like a raccoon. It's got a black mask, black spots over its light grey body, stripes. It's quite a beautiful little creature. Quite an inquisitive little creature too. And probably about the size, a little bit bigger than a huge ginger tom. To know what any of our furry friends killed or injured in the storm. As I say, I was starting to fear the worst with that little male pup of Karula's, but thankfully he didn't have any injury to him or anything wrong. I think maybe he was just taking it easy away from his mum for a little while. Maybe he got separated with the strong winds, or maybe he just stayed down towards the other carcass. Who knows? Only they do. Eyes of impala there. as far as we know, we don't think there's been anyone injured or killed, but it's hard to say. There's a few animals that we haven't seen recently. Mishu we haven't seen. I think he's spending a lot more time up in Buffelshoek now. Induna's still about though. Induna's saw a few days ago, I think, just before the storm hit. It was just out here on a kill. But unless you see it, it's very difficult to really know. And one other thing I forgot to mention, to fill you in on. Apparently, Yambibi or Dan was seen fighting with another male. And I kept having conflicting stories about who it was. When I was speaking to Texan a couple of days ago, he said it was Mufafanyan, and the majority of people have been saying it was Mufafanyan. A couple of people have been saying Mvula to me. But the majority was saying Mufafanyan. And they were fighting somewhere on the boundary around Gary Main, Twin Dam, Baboon Pan area. And Mufafanyan holds territory just in the south of our traversing area. That's our southern boundary. So that's one of the big male leopards in the area. Yambili Ordan patrols most of this area, and Mvula, the third male, which patrols the eastern boundary. So it makes sense to me that it was Mufafanyan. As I said before, strange things can happen. These hippos are leaving the water as well. And if anybody is coming on a game drive here in South Africa, those are calling. Be sure to bring a couple of very warm jerseys for this time of night, as the temperature drops quite dramatically now. I always remember having guests who've never been over here to South Africa this time of year, and they'll be wanting to go out on game drive, leaving the water as yet, in shorts and t-shirt. And I said, well, that's fine, but believe me, it's going to get very, very cold. So if I were you, I'd bring something either warm to change into, or bring many tops. And a few people took me seriously, and a few people just looked at me as if I was being stupid, because this was Africa and it was very hot, and it was still hot during the day. Then they did thank me for the advice afterwards, I can tell them. See them, we used to give them blankets as well. You get given blankets this time of year. You see them wrapped up. All you see are two eyes peering back at you. It's always quite funny. There's too much movement around there at the moment. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear that, but that was a pill-spotted owlet calling. may still be a little bit too quiet. Those two falling together. Listen for the, see if I can whistle. My mouth might be a little bit too cold to whistle, but give it a go. Hopefully it goes something like this. That is the sound of the pearl-spotted owlet. I've actually managed to call one in by doing that once. Sometimes I can get it quite spot on, and sometimes they're just like, what are you doing? There. Branch. So one of these trees just very close by. You can even call a few of the birds in if you do get it very accurate. Because they are a little owlet that will take chicks out of a nest with its foot. So if you hear a pearl-spotted owlet, or if a pearl-spotted owlet is sitting in the branch during the day, you'll find animals, the birds, coming through and mobbing it, trying to move it out of the area, especially if you've got chicks. Oh, there's something there. Oh. That is moving very close to the ground. Oh, don't go, don't go. I don't know what you are. It's almost... It's running very close to the ground there. Pull over here. See if we can get the eyes again. Of night when we might start seeing the small cats, maybe even some of the nocturnal species of mongoose, aardvark, porcupine. That I would love to see, because the movement of it is very, very close to the ground. There it is, there it is. Looking at the fence line. Just see. Just look something that I would love to show you. It's just in the trees there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. I'd love for it to actually come out. I don't think it's going to oblige. Almost look like an African wildcat. Just give it one more go, just down the fence line again. Take these lights off. Okay, you're going to have to be quick, Daniel. If you can point the camera that side. saw it just next to the bush, but it was still going very, very low. That is a shame. Oh well. I don't want to disturb it too much. I was hoping it may just stick around. So I couldn't be 100% sure. All I saw were the eyes. The way it was moving, it did look very, very, very possibly very, very close to what an African wildcat looks like. The vegetation is just a little bit too long.
Yeah, 70 some driving.
Copy. They checked that shoulder because the extra morning the Gala is cruising over to that side.
Yeah, I didn't have anything. I was not driving this morning, but I went there this afternoon and I didn't have any long.
You know what's happened about Ebola?
He was still there this afternoon. Leopard.
Oh well. We'll have to keep a lookout for it in the future though around here. Checking to see if the baboons have come back and kicked the rabbit monkeys out of their tree, but it doesn't look like it. They found somewhere else to sleep tonight. Yeah. Oh no, there they are. Although I think there's a couple of branches that were lost here. I don't want to leave the spotlight on them, so this is going to be a very quick glimpse. Just so everyone can see, there's the baboons. So they must have come in through the back way. Looks like they have moved the monkeys on. But we shall have to try and see if we can catch up with them during the day. I don't want to keep the spotlight on them. They are a diurnal animal after all. But just to show you that baboons are still around. Check what's off in the distance there. Looks like our Nyala bulls, and there's another one. So unfortunately it has come to the time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. As I say, it's great to be back. I felt like a kid in a candy shop wanting to show you everything again. But hopefully you enjoyed that wonderful moment with the cub and floppy ear. That really was quite special, and something you don't often get a chance to see. So certainly worth going out this afternoon. I hope you enjoyed the bull elephant too, and the Nyala bulls, and even the baby hippo. So even in a short space of time, we're able to see quite a few of our animals here at Chuma Game Reserve. But if you would like to join us again, please do. And I believe it'll be tomorrow afternoon, again 3 o'clock Central Africa time, where we'll be heading out once more. And if you can join us, please do. My name's Tara. Daniel's been on camera. Craig's been back in final control. Thank you for all your questions, and do keep them coming through. It's always fun to hear from you. But from myself and the rest of the crew, I'm going to be saying goodnight for now. Unfortunately, there's no fireside chat this evening, so do join us for our next drive. Bye everybody, take care.